All right, let's get right into it. What if I told you there's a playbook for getting rich? One that doesn't care if you're lucky, super talented, or have a trust fund waiting for you. Well, today, that's exactly what we're breaking down. 7 simple rules of money, all based on entrepreneur Dan Martell's framework for building real, sustainable wealth.
Yeah, I know. It sounds a little too good to be true, doesn't it? But honestly, it's completely possible if you follow a specific set of rules. Think of this as your guide, your step-by-step manual for applying them. And look, this isn't some abstract theory. These are the exact principles that took the guy who created this framework from being broke at 24 to a millionaire by the time he was 27. So let's jump into the first rule, which is maybe the most important one of all. Okay, rule number 1 is to define your freedom number. See, if you want to get rich, you need a target. You need a destination on the map. This is all about figuring out the exact amount of money you need to be truly, completely free.
And that brings us to something called the 4% rule. You know, being truly rich isn't about the fancy cars or the big house. It's about freedom. It's the freedom to wake up and not have to work. This rule gives you a concrete number for that freedom, the exact dollar amount you need to live off your investments forever.
And the formula? It's incredibly simple. Just take whatever you want your annual income to be. Let's just say $100,000 a year, and you divide it by 0.04. Boom! That gives you your freedom number, $2.5 million. That's your target. That's the goal.
Okay, so you've got your number. Awesome. But now for the big question, right? How in the world do you actually make enough to get there? Well, that leads us straight to the engine that's going to power this whole journey, your high-income skills.
So rule number 2 is to master a high-income skill. And they pretty much all fall into one of these 4 categories. We call them the 4 M's. You can make things people value, like websites or videos. You can market them to get attention. You can monetize through the art of sales, or you can manage complex projects. The key, though, is to pick one of these, and then go all in on mastering it for at least 1,000 days.
But here's the catch. A high-income skill by itself is not going to make you rich. You can't just keep trading your time for money forever. So rule number 3 is you have to build a system, a wealth machine, that actually generates income for you.
This quote right here really nails the mindset shift you have to make. Wages will feed you, for sure, but ownership is what frees you. Think about it. A doctor who goes on vacation stops making money, but a business owner with a solid system, they get paid whether they show up or not. That's the game changer.
So how do you actually do it? Well, it's a 3-phase process. First, you use that high-income skill to build up big piles of cash. Save aggressively. Second, you reinvest that money into your number 1 asset, which is you. Better skills, better communication. And then finally, you start deploying that cash into assets that work for you, like a simple S&P 500 index fund, or even better, your own business.
Now, if you really want to speed this all up, you need to understand rule number 4. You have to use leverage, not just labor. Look, hard work is great, it's necessary. But labor only adds. Leverage multiplies. It's all about getting a huge result from a small, really focused effort.
And here's how you get that leverage. These are the 4 C's. You can use code and software to automate things. You can create content like this video that can be used 1,000,000 times over. You can use capital to invest your money to make more money. And you can use collaboration, partnering with other people to do things you could never do alone.
So, you have a skill. You have a machine to build wealth. But that machine needs fuel. It needs customers. And for that, my friend, you need an audience. This brings us to rule number 5. You have to master your distribution.
I absolutely love this quote because it's just so true. You can have the best product or service in the entire world, but if nobody knows it exists, you're just the world's best-kept secret. You have to build an engine that gets your value in front of people.
And here's a simple 4-step plan to do that. First, don't try to be everywhere. Pick one channel and completely master it. Second, post daily. Consistency is everything. Third, and this is so critical, move your audience off that platform and onto your own list, like email or SMS. And finally, you just naturally weave your offer into the valuable content you're already creating.
This slide right here really drives home that critical 3rd step. Building an audience on social media, that's like building your house on rented land. The landlord, the platform, can kick you out tomorrow for no reason. But your email list, that's an asset. That is your land. Nobody can ever take that away from you.
All right, we've pretty much covered the engine for making money, but now let's talk about how to keep it. And maybe more importantly, the mindset you need for long-term success and actual fulfillment. This is all about playing the long game.
Which brings us to rule number 6, and this one is a biggie. Don't finance your flex. Seriously, making money is one thing, but keeping it, that's the real challenge. You absolutely have to avoid the trap of borrowing money just to show off.
The most crucial thing to get is that there are two kinds of debt. There's good debt, which buys you assets that actually pay you, like inventory for a business or a rental property. And then there's bad debt, which just buys a lifestyle that costs you, vacations, fancy cars, status symbols. One is leverage. The other is just digging a deeper hole.
And this quote just hammers the point home. If it doesn't pay you, you're the product. When you buy something that doesn't generate income, you're not just spending money, you're spending the precious life hours it took you to earn it. Rich people buy assets. Broke people buy applause.
Which brings us to the final and maybe the most profound rule of all. Rule number 7, money is not the goal. You can't ever forget that. The money is just a tool. The real goal here is freedom, the ability to control your own calendar and buy back your own time.
Because ultimately, this journey of building wealth, it's about so much more than what's in your bank account. The skills, the discipline, the character you build along the way, that's the real prize. If you lost all the money tomorrow, you would still have the person you became. And you know what? You could build it all back, even faster.
So, we have covered a ton of ground here, but it really all comes down to taking action, right? Let's boil this whole thing down into 3 immediate, concrete steps that you can take, like, right now.
So here's your mission, should you choose to accept it. Don't just watch this and move on. Do this. First, calculate your 4% freedom number today. Get that target locked in your mind. Second, pick one of those 4 M's and commit to mastering it. And third, pick one, just one distribution channel and start building. The path is clear. The first step is all yours. Go take it.